Hello, Kai. My name is Mattia Thibault. I'm assistant professor at Tampere University, and in this video I will talk to you about the Internet of Bananas, our paper, but also project that was supported by the gamification group, by the Unite project on human-forest-machine interplay, and especially by the work of the IOB network by Artur, Vasconcelos, Cordeiro, and all the volunteers of the IOB. The Internet of Bananas, or IOB, is an effort of banana-centric design, a form of research through critical design that puts the yellow fruit, which is actually technically a berry, at the very center of its creative efforts. The banana occupies an interesting place in the history of culture and of visual arts. Its first representation probably originated in the Oceanic and Asian regions, where it was first cultivated, but it quickly became rather interstitial in different cultures around the world. And in our study, we identified four main sort of symbolic ways of using bananas. The more sort of generally cultural, in which banana is used as a representation of a specific culture or region, but a capitalistic one as well, focus on cultivation of bananas and sometimes the banana republics that are connected with them. And then an erotic one, because of the obviously sort of ambiguous shape of the banana. And finally, a comedic one. Bananas are funny somehow, and we thought to try to harness and to use this sort of ambiguity and this almost surreal nature of the banana in our design work. So what is the IOB? What is the Internet of Bananas? What did we do? Well, what we do, we did take 8 bananas in 8 cities around the world, from Africa to South America to Europe to the Near East, and we attached some sensors to them. We monitored their color, we measured their surface temperature and humidity, and we pooled this data, we connected them to the internet, and we collected this data for an entire week in the summer of 2021. So why on earth would we do that? Well, the Internet of Bananas is rooted in 3 sort of strong concepts. The first one is that of critical design, the second one is citizen sensing, and the third one is playfulness. So what is critical design? Well, critical design is a type of design that challenges the status quo, and that it makes use of the design language and of design thinking as tools to critically engage different cultural discourses. It can draw inspiration from radical design, from situationism, from Chindogu, and sort of other useless design artifacts from satire, in order to demonstrate ACI concepts in a way that we could say ad absurdum. In particular, in the Internet of Bananas, we wanted to criticize the data ideology that is related to the Internet of Things, and in general around big data. And there are 3 main assumptions that we wanted to criticize and to deconstruct, as we believe that they are not true. And the first one is that data is the key to understand most things, including anthropological, sociological, and cultural things. The second one is that data is always valuable, and therefore the data creation equates the creation of value. And the third one is that data doesn't lie, so we can always trust data. So this is what we wanted to criticize in our critical design endeavor in the Internet of Bananas. The IOB is also related to citizen sensing. Citizen sensing is a reaction to the imbalance of power in the power dynamics that are typical of data production, and it supports instead a democratization of the sensory processes. The IOB wants to support this, but also teaching its participants how to assemble and to code simple sensors, and how to learn how to display and share openly the data collected. So the idea is that once the IOB is ended, the sensors and the ability, the skills in order to program them and deploy them will stay with the IOB participants. And the third key concept is playfulness. So in the context of the ludic turn or ludification of culture, we decided to include playful, surreal, and a situationist character in the IOB. And we did this for mainly 2 reasons. The first one is that silliness and play can capture the attention of the public and the participants, so they can make our IOB stations more engaging and interesting. And the second, it does actually support the satirical and critical objectives of the project in regard of critical design. And of course, the fruit that we put at the center of our design made it rather easy to intentionally being bananas about it. So, what did we do? What was our method? How can we do things with bananas? On the tech side, we decided that participants should not be expected to have any coding or electronic skills. This was capital for our citizen sensing sort of learning experience that we wanted to provide. But at the same time, it was also very important for us that each participant had to set up their own IOB station and make it work. So to facilitate this, we created a GitHub page with the list of all the materials and some instructions. And we also had online individual meetings with all the participants to tell them how to assemble the station. And despite technical hiccups, which existed, of course, there are always technical hiccups, we were able to actually get all the IOB stations working. We also paid a lot of attention to the accessibility. So we tried to look for low price components. The entire set of sensors and sets and microprocessor, etc., was about 35 euros. And we also wanted to make the coding very open and very transparent. We went through it with all the participants in order to make the project, again, as open and as transparent as possible. Once all participants were ready, all the IOB stations nice and working, we proceeded to have a banana jam. The banana jam was a week in which we connected the entire IOB network in the summer of 2021, and we just sort of monitored the bananas getting older and older throughout the week. As you can see, our bananas were very pretty and often rather accessorized. They all had a name and a backstory, and they aged sort of quite noticeably, but also rather well in the week during the banana jam. Throughout the banana jam, as mentioned, we monitored the temperature and surface humidity of the bananas and their colors. And we sent this data to a website that we created in which it was possible to visualize these different aspects of the bananas throughout the banana jam. On the website, you could find a world map with the position of all the IOB stations around the world. And you can see the information of how the color of the bananas changed throughout the banana jam, but also at any moment you could see the temperature, humidity, and color of each of the bananas connected to the IOB network. The banana jam was a lot of fun, but we also did learn something from it. And we did then together discuss it and come to some design considerations and lesson learned from our IOB experience. What we did was to have a feedback session with all the participants. We recorded it and analyzed it, and we identified five main themes. The first one being simply fun. Most of participants sort of stressed how fun it was to participate in the IOB. Then social interactions was a strong theme, and especially sort of unexpected and weird social interactions when people would encounter the IOB family members or colleagues and be a bit weirded out by it or curious and sort of wanted to engage with it. Also, many participants reported an increase of sensor awareness, noticing how many sensors actually are in our houses, recording data about us. And engagement with data was also reported, despite the data being sort of by default useless. Still, people wanted to check the temperature, wanted to check the color of the different bananas. And finally, also an emotional attachment emerged. Many participants started to sort of feel attached to their banana that was also often sort of dressed up as a little character and reported to miss it when the Internet of Bananas banana jam was over. Starting from this feedback, then, we outlined some design considerations. I refer you to the paper if you want to know a bit more about them. But we found that this combination between nature and technology, between weirdness and familiarities, playfulness thrown in the mix, and the sort of situation approach that we used were all sort of very positive. Open source was a good way to sort of establish trust with the participants, and keeping the project economically and technically accessible also felt that it was paying off. So now we're already planning the possibility of new banana jams, of bigger Internet of Bananas networks, and we look forward to receive your feedback and questions and insights. And in the meanwhile, thank you for your attention.